My wife divorced me when I was diagnosed with terminal cancer and started dating her wealthy boss. However, after I miraculously recovered and inherited millions, she wanted to reconcile. I'm Marcus, 37M, and I need advice on this complicated situation. Here's my story. I met Rachel, 35F, in college in 2011. We were both business majors and sat next to each other in economics class. After graduation, we dated for 2 years and got married in 2013. My father owned a small electronics repair shop he started in the 1980s. He taught me everything about electronics, and I worked with him throughout high school and college. When he passed away in 2015 from a heart attack, I inherited the shop. It didn't make a lot of money, but it was enough for us to live comfortably. Rachel worked at a daycare center called Sunshine Kids. She started as an assistant teacher in 2016 and loved working with kids. Our daughter, Lily 8F, was born in 2014. When Lily turned 2, we enrolled her at the same daycare where Rachel worked. Everything in our life seemed great until January 2022. At the end of 2021, I started experiencing severe back pain and losing weight rapidly. I brushed it off, thinking it was just work stress. Rachel kept telling me to see a doctor, but I was too busy handling the holiday rush at the shop. Eventually, the pain became unbearable, and I went to the hospital in January 2022. After many tests and a biopsy, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctor said I had 6 months to live. The diagnosis devastated us emotionally and financially. My health insurance covered some of the costs, but the copays and experimental treatments drained our savings. I had to cut back on work, and eventually, I stopped working entirely because chemotherapy left me too weak. We hired someone to manage the shop, but it reduced our income even further. Rachel's behavior changed after my diagnosis. She stopped sleeping in our bedroom, saying my night sweats from chemo disturbed her. Rachel started spending more time at work and with her friends. Whenever I asked her to join me for chemotherapy sessions, she always came up with excuses, saying she had work commitments or had to take care of Lily's activities. My older sister, Maria, 42F, lived in another state and worked as a marketing executive. When she found out how Rachel was behaving, she immediately took time off work and moved in with us. Maria has always been protective of me since we lost our mother to breast cancer when I was 12. She used her savings to help with my medical bills and took care of me during my toughest days of chemotherapy. 3 months into my treatment, Rachel gave me divorce papers. I was throwing up in the bathroom after a rough chemo session when she slid the papers under the door. She told me she couldn't go through watching another loved one die from cancer, as her father had passed away from lung cancer years ago. She also said she needed to focus on securing Lily's future, since I wouldn't be around for much longer. The papers included her request for full custody of Lily, citing my health issues. I was too weak to fight and signed the papers. Maria was furious and called Rachel out, but I asked her to let it go. I didn't want to spend what I thought were my final months battling in court. The divorce was finalized quickly since I didn't contest anything. A month later, Maria's friend Kelly, 39F, who also worked at Sunshine Kids, told us that Rachel had been dating William, 45M, the daycare owner. Kelly said she had noticed them growing close during lunch breaks and meetings over the past few months. Within weeks of our divorce, Rachel and Lily moved into William's house in an upscale neighborhood. Then, something incredible happened. My oncologist, Dr. Chun, enrolled me in an experimental drug trial. The treatment was brutal, but by December 2022, my cancer was in remission. My doctors called it a miracle, given the low survival rate of this type of pancreatic cancer. While I was recovering, I received unexpected news. My Uncle Thomas, 68M, in Australia had passed away. Uncle Thomas had built a successful chain of electronic stores and left his entire estate to me, including his business empire worth millions. During this time, I tried to maintain a relationship with Lily, but Rachel made it difficult. She would cancel visits, saying Lily was sick or had homework. When I picked Lily up, William often stood at the door, rushing us. Last week, Rachel showed up at my office unexpectedly. She looked completely different. Her hair was messy, she had dark circles under her eyes, and she had lost weight. She broke down in tears, saying she regretted leaving me and wanted to reconcile for Lily's sake. I'm torn. My heart tells me to keep my distance, but I'm worried about how this affects Lily. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. Thank you to everyone for your kind comments and advice. The last month has been overwhelming, and I have some updates to share. After reading your suggestions, I decided to focus on fighting for more time with Lily instead of considering Rachel's reconciliation. I hired Michelle, a family law specialist, to help me with custody. She said my improved health and financial stability made me a strong candidate for joint custody. We filed the necessary paperwork right away. During the case's discovery phase, we uncovered some surprising information. Kelly provided a sworn statement about Rachel and William's relationship, along with text messages from Rachel dating back to October 2021. In the messages, Rachel complained about me working too much and praised William's business plans. This was 3 months before my cancer diagnosis. We also found out that William had fired Rachel 6 months ago after a major argument. Rachel had been pretending to go to work every morning while secretly job hunting. She hadn't told her parents or friends about losing her job. Former employees of William also came forward, revealing he had a history of dating employees and firing them when the relationships ended. Meanwhile, a custody investigation revealed troubling details. Lily's teacher noted that over the past year, she had become withdrawn and anxious, a stark change from the happy, outgoing child she used to be. Lily's teacher documented incidents where she came to school without lunch because William claimed they needed to cut expenses. Kelly also shared security camera footage from the daycare, showing William aggressively yelling at staff members, including Rachel. When the court-appointed guardian interviewed Lily, she revealed that William often shouted at her for minor things, like leaving toys on the floor or making too much noise during his business calls. At first, Rachel fought the custody modification, accusing me of trying to punish her. However, her case weakened when William refused to attend a scheduled court interview. My lawyer also uncovered multiple complaints from parents about William mismanaging daycare funds. The judge granted me joint custody, allowing Lily to stay at my house every other week. With Maria's help, I set up a beautiful bedroom for Lily decorated with her favorite anime characters. We also converted my home office into a playroom where she could do her homework and play video games. Rachel didn't take the custody decision well. She began showing up at my house unexpectedly. Sometimes even in the middle of the night, begging to talk. Rachel admitted that William pressured her to leave me after my cancer diagnosis, promising her a better life. She said she was scared of becoming a young widow with a child and no financial stability. Following my lawyer's advice, I recorded all these conversations. After Rachel showed up unannounced for the 5th time, my lawyer, Michelle, sent her a formal warning letter. Rachel's response was to start calling my sister Maria at work, begging her to speak on her behalf. The situation remains tense, but Lily seems much happier with the new arrangement. She's slowly opening up about her time at William's house, and some of the things she shared are concerning. I've scheduled a meeting with my lawyer to decide what steps to take next. Update 2. The situation has taken a dramatic turn in the past 2 weeks. Late one night, I got a frantic call from Rachel's mother, Barbara, 58F. She told me that William had kicked Rachel out after discovering text messages she sent me about wanting to reconcile. Rachel is now living in her old bedroom at her parents' house. For some context, Rachel's parents, Barbara and Richard, 60M, never approved of our marriage. They wanted Rachel to marry someone wealthy and often compared me to her cousin's rich husbands. When I inherited the electronics repair shop after my father's death, Richard called it a dead-end job. At Christmas dinner after my cancer diagnosis, they supported Rachel's decision to leave me, saying she needed someone more financially stable for Lily's future. Now, their attitude has changed completely. Barbara has been calling me repeatedly, saying Rachel was young and confused when she left me. Richard even came to my shop, awkwardly trying to make peace and asking about potential job openings in my growing business. During her recent stays with me, Lily has shared more about life at William's house. She revealed that William had a gambling problem and often spent weekends at a casino 2 hours away. When he returned, he was angry and would take it out on Rachel, yelling and throwing things. Lily said she would hide in her room with headphones on during these outbursts. It turns out William's financial troubles were worse than anyone knew. He had mortgaged the daycare building to cover his gambling debts. When parents started pulling their kids out of the daycare due to staff turnover and neglect, he pressured Rachel to ask me for investment money. This explains why Rachel suddenly showed up at my office, talking about reconciliation. On a positive note, I've been attending a cancer survivor support group to help process everything that's happened. That's where I met Rebecca, 36F, a breast cancer survivor who runs a nonprofit that helps cancer patients with daily tasks like grocery shopping and house cleaning. Rebecca and I connected over our shared experiences and started having coffee after our support group meetings. Rebecca lost her husband during her cancer treatment, but for a different reason. He was a firefighter who died in the line of duty. She understands how illness and grief can complicate relationships. We've been seeing each other for about a month, taking things very slowly. Rachel found out about Rebecca through Lily, who mentioned how Rebecca helped her bake cookies for a school event. Rachel showed up at my office, angry instead of apologetic. She accused me of bringing random women into Lily's life. When I asked her about William's role in Lily's life, she lost control, threw a potted plant at my desk, and had to be escorted out by security. The entire incident was recorded on the office security cameras. Following this, my lawyer began preparing a restraining order and documenting everything for a potential custody modification. Update 3. This past month has been extremely challenging. The court granted the restraining order against Rachel after she attempted to break into my house at 2 a.m. She was drunk, crying, and trying to climb through Lily's bedroom window. Thankfully, Lily wasn't home. She was staying with Maria that night because Maria wanted to take her shopping the next morning. The police arrived quickly and found empty wine bottles in Rachel's car. They also discovered printed copies of my business, financial records, and bank statements in her trunk. During questioning, Rachel admitted that William had asked her to gather information about my assets for a potential lawsuit. He planned to argue that my inheritance technically belonged to Lily since it came from her great-uncle. This incident led to a deeper investigation into William's activities. The financial records of his daycare revealed years of mismanagement and potential fraud. Just weeks before announcing the daycare's closure, William had collected payments for annual memberships. The police are now investigating whether he knowingly took those payments despite the daycare's failing finances. After the closure, disturbing stories began to surface. Former employees shared allegations of bounced paychecks and unsafe conditions for children. One teacher revealed that William used daycare funds to cover his gambling losses, leaving them without basic supplies like diapers and snacks. Meanwhile, Rachel's parents, Barbara and Richard, returned to their old ways after the break-in incident. They blamed me, saying I had driven Rachel to desperation by flaunting my new relationship with Rebecca. Barbara even contacted local newspapers, attempting to spread false stories that I had abandoned Rachel and Lily during my illness. Thankfully, the journalists reached out to me for comment, and my lawyer provided court documents to clarify the timeline and disprove her claims. The custody situation has shifted significantly following the break-in attempt, and I'm hopeful for a resolution that prioritizes Lily's safety and well-being. After learning about William's planned lawsuit, my lawyer filed for an emergency custody modification. The judge granted me temporary full custody, with Rachel allowed supervised visitation twice a month at a family center. Lily has been seeing a child counselor to help her process everything. During these sessions, she shared more details about the emotional abuse she experienced at William's house. The counselor's report played a key role in the judge's decision to modify custody. Rebecca has been incredibly supportive through all of this. She helps Lily with homework and introduced her to art therapy, something that helped Rebecca's own kids cope with their father's death. However, we're still taking our relationship slow and focusing on creating a stable environment for Lily. Maria has been our rock. She's officially my business partner now and manages our new locations while I focus on the original shop and caring for Lily. Her marketing skills have helped the business grow faster than I expected. A small part of me feels pity for Rachel, watching her life fall apart like this. But then I remember the months I spent alone in a hospital bed, thinking I was dying, while she started a new life with William. Some betrayals are too deep to forgive, no matter how much someone says they regret them. Life is finally settling into a new normal. Lily's grades are improving, and she's started taking karate classes. I'm still cancer-free, though the fear of it coming back is always in the back of my mind. Most importantly, I've learned that sometimes losing what you thought you needed makes room for something even better. I won't be updating this post again, but I want to thank all of you for your support and advice throughout this journey. Your comments gave me strength when I felt tempted to give Rachel another chance, and for that, I'll always be grateful.